you again to attending our Green Energy Renewable Propane ribbon cutting ceremony and mural recognition celebration. This is an exciting time for us as we move towards a more sustainable climate and trying to reach our climate action goals of 80% renewable energy or zero emissions by 2050. This is one effort that's going to get us there. We've been very fortunate to have a very diverse fleet organization and with sustainability's effort in moving that needle to swing to the positive direction. We have a variety of things that we're going to talk about today before we ask our first speaker to come up, but I wanted to give you a few fun facts, right? For those that don't know, our fleet in the city of Raleigh is very diversified. We have a very large fleet of 4,600 vehicles. I'm proud to say today that 85% of our fleet runs off of some type of alternative energy, right? Which is something that we're proud to say. We either run off of electricity vehicles, we run off of propane, now renewable propane, we run off of compressed natural gas, we have E85, we have methane, we have biofuels. We are a very diverse fleet, and this is one effort moving towards renewable propane that gets us to that mark of 80% zero emissions by 2050, right? In addition to that, I also want to point out that renewable energy, especially in the propane industry, is fairly new. I'm also going to announce that today, based on what I've been told, is that the city of Raleigh is the first city in the state of North Carolina to run renewable propane, right? This is where you would applaud, right? So we're really proud of that fact. In addition to that, a couple other fun facts is I've been told that because a lot of our energy is from plant-based vegetable oil, that this city will foster and continue to grow just because of the aroma of the tailpipe emissions that smell more like French fries than they do of emissions, right? So we're doing our very best to reduce our dependency on foreign oil, and renewable propane is one of those efforts that will get us there. I've also was told that if you use renewable propane while you're grilling, now I say the word grilling because if you asked me that question 2 years ago before I moved from California to North Carolina, I was told I would say barbecue, but I have to emphasize that it's grilling, right? So if you use renewable propane while you're grilling, it will make your food taste better. Is that right, Steve?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I think that's a myth. I think that's not true, but I had to throw that out there anyway for the sake of humor, right? So that's a little bit of fun facts. So I'm gonna now read, and I say read, right? Because I have not memorized the script, and I apologize profusely if the glare from my bald head is reflecting you and causing you to wear sunglasses. Feel free to do so. So I'm proud to announce Councilman Jonathan Melton has served as the at-large Raleigh City Council member since 2019. He also serves as the chair of Economic Development and Innovative Committee and is vice chair of the Transportation Transit Committee. Councilmember Milton is also an attorney exclusively practicing family law. He has earned his undergraduate degree in political science from North Carolina State University and his Juris Doctor degree from North Carolina Central University School of Law. His hobbies include biking, playing kickball, riding scooters. He has lived in Raleigh since 2004, and he and his husband, Stephan, also enjoyed spending time with their 2 dogs and 2 cats. Councilmember Milton has always been a leader and very supportive of the Climate Action and Clean Transportation Initiative, and we are very happy he's here today. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Councilman Milton.
Good morning, everybody. Very happy to be here. I have had 2 cups of coffee this morning, but I'm going to try to match Rick's energy because that was great. And I do enjoy riding my scooter. I just could not ride it here today, so I did drive. But as I was driving up, I noticed this awesome mural, which I think sends a really nice message to the community as they're passing by a facility that they may not otherwise recognize or notice how much good work is happening here. I want to start by thanking and recognizing Councilmember Mary Black is here. Give a wave, everyone see you. I want to thank all of our community partners that helped put on this event today. I know most of you are here in the audience. Thank you to our sponsors, Southeast Propane for sponsoring the food and refreshments today, and Blossman Gas for keeping everyone cool under the tent. City of Raleigh staff, thank you for your hard work in implementing the Community Climate Action Plan. I know that this is going to be long-term work, but we continuously make progress towards it, taking it piece by piece, and it's going to have a profound impact on our city and this entire region. It makes me very proud. Not only is this project high impact towards, reducing our greenhouse gas productions, but cleaner fuel technologies in general support community health. The city of Raleigh has a lot of exciting work happening towards leading the way in climate action, including the implementation of our own EV fleet rollout, and Megan will speak more about that in a little bit. But I just want to thank the Fleet Services, Sustainability, Raleigh Arts and Communications, and everybody for bringing us together today. I can't wait to take some pictures in front of all the murals and continue to spread the, good work that everyone here is doing. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Councilman. Appreciate that. My next guest is a privilege that I get to ask her to come up to the podium. Because not only do I recognize our next speaker, Megan Anderson, as a colleague, one who has pushed the envelope to make sure we move in the right direction, has made the needle swing, but also a friend of mine as well. So it's a great honor to read her bio, and I think you'll find this quite fascinating. And the thing you learn about reading bios is that you learn things about people. Megan Anderson leads the Raleigh Sustainable Office and has been with the city for 8 years. The City Sustainability Climate Action Change Program has won many awards and broken many national records for community engagement. Megan has over 17 years experience as sustainability, equity, and climate change executive. She serves as the city executive leadership team and the city equity leadership team, and serves as a leader in several local national climate change and equity-focused organizations. She has a bachelor's degree in science, environmental science, with a focus on political science and psychology, and a master's degree in sustainable business. I'm telling you, we have enough people here to solve world peace problems. Outside of work, Megan is an avid hiker, runner, and thrifter. I had to look that up because I thought you were a drifter, and I said, no, that's a thrifter. And loves to reminisce about her days in whitewater rafting guide. Megan has spent several years in living and working abroad, check this out, Asia, Africa, Australia, and sustainable development projects with local villages, which has really helped her shape her passion for her work. Try topping that one, right? So with no further ado, Megan Anderson, would you please say a few words to us?
As you can tell, it's always really fun to work with Rick and his team. He keeps it lively, which I really appreciate here today. So thank you everybody for having us. And if you excuse me 1 second, my notes went away. I want to make sure I don't forget to say thank you to everybody here. That's the thing with technology when you don't want to use paper and you don't want plastic bottles. Here we go. All right. So, thank you again, everybody, for being here today. We often get so busy in what we're doing, we don't stop to celebrate. And so today is that day, so thank you for coming out. We work really hard every day, and so it really is good to kind of take that step back and think about all the things and how far we've come. So being here 8 years, I'm just really proud to say we've seen a lot of things change and we've been able to get a lot done. And that's because of all of you here in the audience as well, because we really do this as a team. So I want to just mention that we've really had a long history of taking climate action and leading in clean energy and transportation. We were actually one of the first of 3 cities across the country to pilot electrical vehicle charging well over a decade ago. And we're really proud to say that Raleigh's also leading the way with one of the first in the country community-wide climate action plans that not only focus on greenhouse gas reduction, but also equity and resilience. And since then, we've been able to do a lot in that implementation because of all of you here today and the hundreds of stakeholders that helped us put that plan together. So clean transportation is one of the biggest impacts we can have on our greenhouse gas emissions, and that's why the city has been leading the way on projects like our EV implementation rollout to transform our over 4,000 rolling fleet and 2,500 vehicles to electric and clean alternative fuels over the next 10 years, and our initiative to support the transition to clean transportation around the state, region, and local community, and our innovative project to turn Raleigh and the region's wastewater into renewable fuel to run our public buses, along with transitioning to electric buses and putting solar panels on our bus stops as we roll out more bus rapid transit. And of course, this renewable fuel we're celebrating here today is a really important step in combating climate change that you're going to hear more about from our partners soon. It's really important to have clean alternative fuels to help us get to our goals. Partnerships are how we're getting things done, especially when we're trying to do something new and different. I want to give a special thanks to our friends in Vehicle Fleet Services, part of Engineering Services. With Rick's leadership, we really lead the way in thinking innovatively and embedding climate action, equity, and resilience into their work. That's why we were also actually named the 2023 top fleet in the entire country this year. So how about a little clap for that? I also wanted to give a special thanks to our Raleigh Arts Department and Max, who's here today, that did our beautiful murals. Please go talk to him about his inspiration for that. And of course, our renewable fuel partners that you'll hear from soon. Not only did they partner with us on this important renewable alternative fuel, they also provided us food and refreshments and even a renewable fuel ice cream truck. So nobody miss out on that. There are so many other people to thank, so please know how much we appreciate all of you here today and those throughout the community who are really helping us get this stuff done. And I want to give a special thanks out to Tiffany in Communications and the whole team that came together to get this work done and do all these big accomplishments. And I want to give a shout out to our team in sustainability. We're really small but mighty. We got some of us back there in the back today. Thank you for all the work and making us get this stuff done. And if you want to learn more about all the cool things happening in Raleigh for climate change, please go check out our 2023 Climate Implementation Report, and you can get lots of ideas on things that you can get involved in. And thank you again for celebrating with us here today. We really appreciate it. I'll turn it back over to Rick now. Thank you again.
I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Annie Lee. Annie Lee is an energy transportation planner at the Central Pine Regional Council, recently renamed the Triangle J Council of Government. That's a mouthful. Annie is also the director of the Triangle Clean Cities Coalition. Annie brings to this role her experience and co-director of the Triangle Clean Cities Coalition. Previously worked with the DNC Division of Air Quality, and she also spent time as a high school science teacher. Wow. A climate science fellow with NASA, and a grid and power generation fellow with Duke Energy. I'm telling you, we've got enough brain thrusts here to change the world. Annie has a degree in secondary education science, English, a master's degree in secondary education with emphasis on scientific literacy, and most recently earned her certificate in technical project management. Outside of her professional pursuit, Annie is an avid outdoors woman and an environmental educator, often found exploring the wonders of the world and our planet. So Annie, thank you very much for being here. We ask you to come up to the podium if you don't mind.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here. I'm Annie Lee, Director of Triangle Clean Cities, as Rick just introduced. To give you a little bit of background, we're part of the Triangle Clean Cities national program. Here at Triangle, thank you, Megan. Can y'all hear me now? All right, there we go. Okay, so again, I'm Annie Lee with Triangle Clean Cities. We are part of a Department of Energy designated nationwide program with the mission to educate on alternative fuel technologies as well as the adoption of alternative fuel technologies. We capture the events and the actions that are taking place in our region, as well as try to advance more actions in alternative fuel adoptions, and then we report those up to the Department of Energy. And what is fantastic about having partners like the City of Raleigh is that they help to inspire. And we are so excited to be here to support them in the work that they do, to uplift the work that they do, and report that back to the Department of Energy. Triangle Clean Cities was able this past year to report 9 million gallons of gasoline equivalent reductions, which is substantial for the Raleigh-Durham area. But without people like Rick and Megan and the City of Raleigh, without that vision, without that inspiration and that passion, that work couldn't be done. Those emissions couldn't be reduced. So thank you all so much for the work that you do in helping us to achieve a more sustainable future. Thank you.
All right, our next speaker is Tucker Perkins. I love these last names. I love single syllables. Tucker Perkins is the president and CEO of the Propane Educational Research Council, better known as PERC, a Washington, D.C. based nonprofit which invests in research and development of propane-powered innovation and consuming education about propane, and promotes the safe, efficient use of propane through safety and training and educational programs. Perkins graduated from Virginia Tech. Does anybody want to applaud for that? Okay, figured you might. Has a bachelor's degree in civil engineer and earned his MBA from the University of Richmond. That mean anything to anyone? No? Okay. All right. Woo! All right. Come on. Work with me here. He is active with many industrial organizations, including the National Propane Gas Association with Industrial Truck Association, and Outdoor Power Association, the World LP Gas Association. He also is the host of the podcast Path to Zero, in which he engages energy through leadership and proactive discussions regarding energy and the environment and the path to zero carbon emissions. With no further ado, Tucker Perkins.
A couple months ago when they asked me to come down here, and I think this is about maybe the 8th state I've been in to see the inaugural load of renewable propane come in, I was really excited, and it had nothing to do with renewable propane. It had nothing to do with the fact that I would be in arguably the most beautiful facility I've been in, or on maybe the most beautiful day that we've done this. It had a lot to do with, first off, saying thank you. And I know we've heard a lot of you say thanks to different people. I'm here to say thanks to a group that rarely ever gets acknowledged. First off, John Jessup leads what has now been renamed the Southeastern Propane Alliance, but really they're based here in Raleigh. John Jessup really leads an organization that across the nation is kind of revered as maybe the best in class, and it's nice to be here to support the work. No surprise to me that Raleigh is a leader. John is here in North Carolina, in Raleigh himself, so a big shout out to the Southeast Propane Alliance. This is 3, so you may want to save your applause. And it would mean more to you if you knew me, because I don't rarely compliment people or groups. But the second group is, in fact, Blossom and Gas. Blossom and Gas is a leader in this. And as I look around, most of you, hopefully if you use propane, they're your propane provider. But they have just been a leader in this energy transformation. I refuse to talk about an energy transition because transitions are smooth and easy and you hardly notice when you go from one to the other. This is a transformation. People will benefit, people will lose, people will stumble, people will be cold. We've already seen that in Europe. And Blossom Gas is there really leading the charge, and not just around renewable propane, around a lot of this engine technology, around commercial mowing, where if you're a sustainability expert, you would know the change in a community, the change in a driver's health by just going from gasoline to propane on a commercial mower. So all this technology has really been kind of at the forefront of Blossom's thinking for decades and decades. And much of this technology wouldn't be here today but for the leadership of Blossom Gas. The third group is kind of a subset of Blossom Gas, is Stuart Weedi. Stuart Weedi is occupied kind of, and he'll speak after me. I'll let his introduction be for himself. But he has really led at all levels in North Carolina, across the nation, across the world. It's a lot of his vision has been vision that the industry has executed, and I can say with certainty that we wouldn't be here today talking about what we're talking about without the leadership of Stuart Weedi. So thank you to each of those 3 groups. All right, let's get to what I'll give applause for that. Let's get to what I'm here to talk about. That wasn't even a part of my 5 minutes, so now start the clock. Because I think what you see behind me is exactly what we have been talking about for years. There's no single solution. There is no silver bullet to this issue of climate change and decarbonization. It's a wide path. The only path that we can afford, the only path that's really good for the climate to get there faster than we could otherwise, to get there with healthier workers than we would otherwise, is behind me. Light duty transportation, probably going electric. Medium duty transportation, heavy duty transportation, long ways from going electric. And we offer solutions today with conventional propane, right? Power generation, I could talk to you for hours about power generation. But what you see behind me is in fact what I would expect when I came here. The real world, a living lab that shows you exactly what we talk about when we talk about a wider path to decarbonization, the widest path. I didn't really know much about renewable propane myself 10 years ago. I've been laboring for most of my career in having efficient engines and telling the story of how using propane in lieu of diesel cuts your particulate matter to zero, changes your NOx emissions by 97% in today's engines, and how by switching from diesel to propane, we change the lives of a community, we change the lives of a driver, we change the economic portfolio that you get by saving 50, 60% of your cost per mile. That's what it was about. And I was telling that story routinely, and in California, in a particularly tough day with CARB and the governor, they looked at me and said, that's not enough. That's not good enough. What is the path you have to zero? What is your fuel and your industry's path to zero emissions? Didn't really have a good answer that day. But we went back and thought about it and thought that is a relevant statement. And we're going to be left behind. A valuable, domestic, affordable resource of propane is going to be left behind if we don't have a path to zero. I'm happy to say today you're benefiting from the last 6 or 7 years of our work, because today you're benefiting from the first load into North Carolina, but this is something we've seen year over year in California, Oregon, Washington State, across the country. Renewable propane. As Rick said, your propane today probably came from used cooking oil, and I'm happy to say that that segment alone has grown 30-fold from just 3 years ago. That today, renewable propane made from used cooking oil has grown 30-fold in the last years. And if I don't do anything else, if our team doesn't do anything else, we'll be at 150 million gallons by the end of 2024. That's what the project's either already producing or in construction to produce. Last year, if you'd asked me to have this conversation, I would have talked about that one pathway, and I would have said, that's it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming. Today, as we really look forward, we're really proud to talk about, this is but one of the pathways. We talked about municipal solid waste and all the waste methane that's generated, which traditionally, as most of you know, has been the playground for renewable natural gas. We now have the ability to take that methane in other places and convert it directly to renewable propane. Really one of 14 pathways that we see that have tremendous promise to change the economics, to change the lives of the citizens, in which every bus, every truck runs on their streets, gives them a cleaner street, a quieter street, a healthier driver, and a better community. That's the role of renewable propane. So let me just say this. I think sometimes people say, is this real? Is this transformation real? Will it happen? And I think as we think about renewable propane, if I had one message to give to you, it's that yes, it is real. The carbon savings are real. The particulate matter is zero. The NOx emissions are virtually zero. And this is a fuel of the future. This is a fuel that will benefit Raleigh. It will benefit all of North Carolina. And if you don't know, North Carolina has been always one of the largest consumers of propane in the country. Often number one, never less than number two in most categories. It's a fuel that North Carolinians rely on. They're beyond the natural gas mains. They're looking for a reliable way to heat their homes, heat their barns, dry their grain, and renewable propane gives them all comfort, gives them comfort, gives me comfort, should give you comfort that it's the fuel of choice for them, not only for today, but as we think about how we transform a fuel that they will continue to use in 2050. Proud to be a part of this. I'm proud to see what you're doing. And as a native Virginian that often watches North Carolina as a leader, it's no surprise to me that you have risen to the top, and I appreciate it for what you've done. Thank you.
That was impressive. Thank you for that. Thank you for a lot of that great information. We're getting to our last speaker. Stuart Wintai is the President and Chief Executive Officer of Blossom Gas, Inc., a propane natural gas liquid company with over 87 locations throughout the Southeast and Mid-Atlantic states. In addition, he serves as the president of the nationwide Alternative Fuel and Equipment Network, Alliance Autogas. Alliance Autogas provides propane auto gas for vehicles and lawn care companies in 48 states in the U.S. and in Canada. Blossom Gas is the managing member. He is also the founder of the Propane Auto Gas Industry Coalition for Auto Gas of America. Through his work with Alliance Autogas and Autogas for America, We Die. I say We Die because I'm proud that I've been able to pull that one off. We Die leads the movement to power America fleets on propane auto gas, the world's most widely used alternative fuel with more than 29 million vehicles globally. Stuart, would you please come up and say a few words? Thank you very much.
I told Rick he doesn't need to worry about saying my name properly. Nobody ever does. I just want to start by saying, as a North Carolinian, I am really proud. Pride is a sin, but not in this case, of what you all are doing here in Raleigh. You are truly a leader. And this facility here, this beautiful facility, I think is an example of what we really need to make sure everyone understands, which is there's no one solution, there's no magic bullet. We have to have multiple solutions to make a positive impact on the sustainability of our communities, our states, and our nation. And I think it's really great that we've got renewable propane to talk about today, in addition to some of these other options. Now, so again, congratulations to Raleigh for being a leader, for really setting an example for other communities around the state of North Carolina. Now, Tucker mentioned renewable propane. I grew up in a house that had an old hospital door as our everyday dining table. I think that's pretty cool because one of the things about renewable propane, it's taking things that are otherwise wasted and making something useful with them. Now, we can talk about the carbon emissions and the reductions. The 50-50 blend of renewable and traditional propane that's going to be fueling the lawnmowers and the vehicles in Raleigh here is going to have a carbon intensity of 50. Okay, carbon intensity being a measure of CO2 emissions. Relative to a gasoline vehicle, that's almost a half of what the emissions are going to be. So you're already on this path. Further, the renewable production of renewable propane going forward is going to have certain molecules that have a negative carbon intensity. Methane gas from landfills, hog waste. We have plenty of hogs here in North Carolina, sometimes controversial topic, but dairy waste, chicken waste, as well as the plant oils. The renewable propane here is coming from plant oils and animal waste. That's what this current molecule is about. And the other beauty of it is a complete drop-in fuel, meaning the renewable propane has the same molecular structure as the traditional propane does. Notice I'm not using the word fossil propane because that's an evil term, right? Fossil fuels are evil. But one thing I want to say on that, all fossil fuels are not created equally. I like to see what I call C fossil fuels, which are clean, and dirty fossil fuels. And there's plenty to go, and you can all guess which categories those fall into. But anything that we do to displace diesel in every application in this country is going to have an extremely positive impact on the environment and the things that we're trying to do to remediate and create more sustainable transportation sector. Now, Tucker mentioned something that I wanted to touch on also. There are nearly 30 million vehicles running on propane autogas globally. Sadly, we only have 165,000 of those here in the United States. I think it's a gross oversight. So, yeah, as we transition, or I like to use the word evolve, the electric grid system is not ready for 100% electrification with battery vehicles, but we have a solution that can assist as that transition and that evolution takes place and make a positive impact today, right here and right now. So again, thank you all, Raleigh. Thank you for the leadership and the vision that you all had and for this nice event that you all did today. Thank you.
So look at this. This is amazing, right? The effort and the work that went into this is quite remarkable, and it doesn't go without recognition and acknowledgement. But before I get to those individuals, I do want to point out one thing, and that is Max Miller. Stand up, please. He is the artist of this mural. He is the creator of this, right? And I will say it was an incredibly fun project. Not only do we have this beautiful landscape within the city that has curbside appearance, but we also were engaged in this project as well. I think each and every one of us that were engaged in starting this had a paintbrush at some point in time in laying out the landscape of that building, and it was fun. And we have pictures to prove it, right? So thank you, Max, for making this come to life. But besides that, also in addition to Max's effort, also I'm not going to name names because I'm on a crusade in getting everyone's last name pronounced correctly. So I'm not going to blow it at this point. So I'll go by first names or personally departments because this was not one particular person's effort. This was an amalgamation of a lot of different departments. I can say Megan Anderson because I know her last name and I can say that clearly without stumbling through it. But sustainability, parks and recreation, right? Our administrative staff from Rich Kelly to Shelton Williams, right, all the way down the line to city council members who made this dream possible happen, right? This was not one person or one division's responsibility. This was an amalgamation of a lot of different people's efforts, and I want to recognize them for making this happen, down to the parking lot, right, and making sure it was clean and presentable. Vehicles were parked strategically in a place where you can recognize them and look at them. The Blossom Glass contribution to make this happen, we thank you very, very much, and you should be proud of what we've accomplished today. So I want to personally thank you and everyone for being here. I also want to give special thanks to the superstar rock star of Vehicle Fleet Services because I had nothing to do with setting this up, right? The men and women in our division actually made this happen, and I want to recognize them for their hard efforts because they are the ones that actually got up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning and actually made this tent actually erect and made sure there was food and refreshments and available and ready for you when you got here, because I was probably the second to last person to arrive. So thank you very much for being here. We're going to have some refreshments. Now we're going to go over to the ribbon cutting ceremony and close out the event. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Ready?